Aren't sports supposed to be fun? Aren't I supposed to enjoy my time when I sit down, watch my favorite teams? Shouldn't I enjoy myself even just a little bit? I'm getting sick of watching the Steelers. I don't think I can. I can't do it anymore. I physically cannot do it anymore. Watching this godforsaken team just ridicule and embarrass themselves on prime time. I don't welcome back to the Hail Mary. I don't even have like a script or anything I want to talk about because I did not go to sleep last night until probably 3:30. I was just upset. I wrote a big long blog while laying in bed on my phone about how everything is going wrong with the Pittsburgh Steelers, with the Penguins, with the Pirates, and how we still fucking have Bob Nutting as our owner. I really don't have a set like script or not script a format. So I'm just gonna go through and we're just gonna kind of riff about sports. So we'll get to the part where I'm yelling about the Steelers. Let's just start it off and because I'm just sorry guys for last Monday and Friday. I was getting new siding on the house, so we didn't do any podcasts. It was just too hectic around here. So I apologize for that. But we are back once again, and I want to talk about some sports with you guys because I need to talk about something. So big shout out, first of all, to our sponsors, Underdog and Sleeper. Sign up using the code HMM. You're going to get yourself a free 0.5 pick and a deposit match. Okay, enough of that. Again, use the code HMM. Enough of that. Let's talk about college football. College football right now, the way that I'm looking at it, there are only three teams who I actually think can win the national championship this year. And it's the three teams on the AP poll. And I think that there is a large gap between 1 and 2. So Texas A&M absolutely bullies and dominates Missouri, a ranked team. They're still probably going to be ranked just because the SEC and they want to keep the SEC getting big wins. So Missouri will probably only fall to like Missouri may actually move up from this loss, to be honest. If I had to guess, Missouri may move up. But Texas A&M looks legit. They look great. Uh, they beat Notre Dame, and Notre Dame is looking good. Notre Dame may have the Heisman winner, which we'll talk about that. But Texas A&M looks absolutely legit, and I think that if you put them on the same field with Alabama, I'm not going to say they'll wipe the floor with them, but I think that they would be. I think Alabama would be in for a ride. I think Alabama would be in for it. Now, Bama beat LSU, which is a nothing game because LSU is terrible. But right now, Texas A&M looks legit. They look very good. They have all year. But I think that this Missouri win is one of those things that like people are going to look at because they're going to be like, holy, like they are dominating. It's not like they just beat Missouri. They dominated that game. 38-17. That is a big win. Then you take the top two teams. So Indiana barely squeaked out a game at Penn State. I could not believe that catch that we saw. What was it? Omar Cooper, I believe his name was. Omar Cooper Jr. By far, probably the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life. And I watched the Steelers win the Super Bowl versus the Cardinals and that toe tap catch by Santonio Holmes. This was incredible. Now, I understand that you only have 1 foot in, but like that's the college rules, but that may have been one of the best catches I've ever seen in my entire life. I would actually stack that up against the Odell Beckham catch. Indiana walks into Penn State, and I get it. Penn State is a terrible team. They're not very good this year. It's still a hostile environment. Now, yes, you could say, well, Northwestern walked in there and beat them, and Oregon walked in there and beat them, which Oregon's a good team. But I guess the Northwestern thing's different. But this is still a tough place to play. If you go on X, Twitter, whatever you call it, the fans are still invested because they still want to put together something for their next head coach. They still have some of the top, they still have one of the top running back tandems in college football right now. So they want to put together something. And even if your season is over, you still want to play spoiler. It's not like Penn State fans are like, we're out of it, so let's just give this game to Indiana. No, if you can ruin a fellow conference member's season, you're going to try to do that. That's just what you do. And Penn State tried to do that, and Indiana just pulled away. Now, do I believe in Indiana to win the national championship? I can see it only if they don't play Ohio State or Ohio State gets knocked out early. So I guess that's the same thing. But if it's like a championship game, Ohio State and Indiana, I think Ohio State is going to mop the floor with Indiana if they play in the Big Ten championship game. And if, say, they meet in the national championship or in the playoffs, I think that by far and away, Ohio State is the best team in the country. This team quite possibly might be better than last year's team. Julian saying he had an off game for himself. But for anyone else, that is an incredible game. What was his official stat line? Because last game versus Penn State, he had more touchdowns than he had incompletions. He went off. It was insane. This game, Ohio State struggled out the gate. They were losing going into the second quarter. They didn't score their first points until the second quarter and change. So it took them a quarter and change to really start going. However, Julian Sayin still threw for 303 yards in a touchdown. Now, he did have an interception. Anybody else in the country would be like, our quarterback threw for 303 yards. That's great. For Ohio State, that's honestly an off day for Julian Sayin. And this is going to affect him in the Heisman because they're going to be like, oh, well, he only threw one touchdown. But 300 yards is something that a lot of teams are striving for. If you ask me right now, and again, I am fully biased, I need something good to talk about. So I don't want to hear in the comments, oh, bro, you're biased because you're an Ohio State fan. I need something good to talk about right now because the rest of the teams in the city that I live in are terrible. So let me have this. Hey, let me have this, please. The Heisman committee should just have a joint Heisman. Julian Sayin and Jeremiah Smith need to save it. Put them both in the Heisman house because Jeremiah Smith had 10 receptions, and that was a career high for him in college. I couldn't believe that. I was like, there had to have been a game where he caught more than double-digit passes. No, this was technically his best pass-catching game in terms of receptions, which I seriously couldn't believe. But Jeremiah Smith had 10 receptions, 137 yards, and a touchdown. Julian Sayin had a touchdown pass, 303 yards passing, and it was an off day for him. And now Ohio State could have played Lincoln Kienholz the entire game and probably still won. But this has to be a joint Heisman. The only other person that I think should win the Heisman this year is the running back from Notre Dame, Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Love. The season that he's having right now, he is averaging, so he has 154 carries, almost 1,000 yards, 13 touchdowns. He's averaging 6.4 yards a carry, and he's averaging 6.2 yards a carry versus top 25 teams. And he's averaging, 355 yards rushing versus top 25 teams. He could win the Heisman, in my opinion. He really could. Where I think it's going to hurt him is he may not have that extra game, obviously, because Notre Dame isn't in a conference. Now, this week is a big week for Notre Dame. I see them getting the win, but they're playing in Pittsburgh, Pitt, Notre Dame, Pitt is 7-2. Notre Dame is 7-2. College game day is going to be there. I feel that even though Pitt gets a rap for not being able to fill out the stadium, I do think that this is going to be one of those games people are actually going to show up because college game day's there. They're going to want to hang out and get the clout and try to be on TV and try to beat Pat McAfee. And so this is going to be a raucous environment. Now, it's nothing that Notre Dame has never seen before. Notre Dame has been in environments like this before. They just played Texas A&M this year. They've been in environments like this. They get it. But we'll see what happens. I mean, the field is terrible. We'll see if Jeremiah Love. Now, Jeremiah Love does also play on a field that is kind of like Pitt Stadium, where the grass is high. So he knows how to run in this type of stadium. Now, we'll see what happens. This is going to be a very good game. If Jeremiah Love can run wild on Pitt, which Pitt right now is ranked number 24. So if he can run wild on Pitt and boost these AP top 25 numbers that he's having, 6.2 yards a rush, 355 yards, 2 touchdowns versus AP top 25 teams, he probably should win the Heisman. At least be in he should be invited to New York for sure. But as of right now, and I'm fully biased. Listen, I need something to be happy about. I am happy about Ohio State. They're playing well. But I think it should be a joint Heisman, Julian Sayin, Jeremiah Smith. 1,000%. Except that kid for UConn. What is going on with him? What is his name? The quarterback for UConn is having a year of a freaking lifetime right now. Joey Faginone, I don't know how to say his name. Almost 3,000 yards passing, 25 touchdowns, no interceptions. He has a QBR of 71, and UConn is 7-3. UConn used to be a laughing stock of college football, and this quarterback is lighting it up. Now, he may get an invite to New York. I don't think he'll win it just because he plays for UConn, and they won't give a Heisman to a UConn player, unfortunately. That's just how it works, but this kid is having a freaking season of a lifetime right now. 25 touchdowns and no interceptions is insane. That is crazy work and almost 3,000 yards passing. So what a freaking awesome for him. Let's move on. I want to talk about some NFL football. And we're going to take a little break. I'm going to finish this coffee and then we'll come back, but you won't. I'm just going to drink this. All right, NFL talk. And then we're going to get on to my Pittsburgh rant. So let's just break it down game by game. I'll give a little bit of insight into how I feel about. Now, I do my power rankings for each team. I'm not going to power rank, but we're going to talk about each game a little bit. So Denver Broncos versus the Raiders on Thursday Night Football. Broncos win 10-7. This was the ugliest game I've ever seen in my life. It was horrible. It was terrible. And somehow the Broncos still keep getting away with it. They keep squeaking out these freaking wins. Now, the Raiders are probably one of the worst teams I've ever seen. I made a video talking about how they absolutely wasted a pick with Ashton Genty. Not saying that Ashton Genty is bad. I'm saying the Raiders are so bad, and their quarterback situation is a mess, and their O-line is a mess, and the rest of their team is a mess, that taking Ashton Genty where they did not make sense. You got to build out the rest of your team before you start grabbing all of these skill guys. I just spit everywhere. Before you start grabbing all of these skill guys and trying to make it work. We're seeing it right now with the Bengals. The Bengals could have had Penei Sewell, but instead they went out and they grabbed Jamar Chase. Now, yeah, it's working out for them because Jamar Chase is good, but they're not winning games. So it is working out because Jamar is good, but it's not working out because you're not winning. You're not winning whatsoever. And the offense is potent, but the defense stinks. It's a disaster right now for the Bengals. It's a disaster for the Raiders. And I understand that you want to get that flashy pick because you want to make your fans happy You want to get the guy who can sell jerseys and make guys miss in space, and you get the highlight reels. But you're not going to get that. I don't care how dominant a guy is in college. You're not going to get that if the rest of your team is bad. You could put Adrian Peterson in his prime on this Raiders team, and he's going to have nowhere to run. Like, it's a waste, is what I'm saying. Can they build this out and get better? They absolutely can. But why get the flashy piece early in a draft before everything else is built out? That doesn't make sense to me. Football is won in the trenches. Build your trenches. Build your quarterback position. I get that you thought Geno Smith was going to, figure it out. He's bad. He's just not good. And that's okay because you missed on it. Teams miss on quarterbacks all the time. We see it with the Jets. The Steelers are doing it now. It happens. But from here on out, which you're not going to do it because the Raiders still have this Al Davis mentality where you got to get the fastest guy possible and the flashiest guy possible. But the Raiders need to reevaluate and start building for the future, building the trenches, building where it matters. If they had a good offensive line, they would probably have won 2 more games because Ashton Genty would have more room to run. But that's just my takeaway from this is it's a waste. It's really a waste. The Indianapolis Colts, after somehow losing to the Pittsburgh Steelers, which the Steelers beating the Colts is the worst thing that could have happened to that team, and we'll talk about it a little bit, are back on track. They had an awesome game. Jonathan Taylor, I should say, had an awesome freaking game versus the Falcons. And I get that the MVP award is a quarterback award. Sorry, I'm getting notifications here. I get that the MVP award is a quarterback award. Jonathan Taylor is the MVP of the NFL right now. It's between him and Drake May. But 32 carries, 244 yards, and 3 touchdowns. The Colts lose this game without Jonathan Taylor. Daniel Jones, I'm not saying is reverting back to what Daniel Jones used to be, but he had such a hot start that he's regressing from that hot start. Not saying he's getting worse or bad. It's just teams are catching up a little bit. But they're not catching up to Jonathan Taylor. The Colts lose this game without him. He is the MVP right now, in my opinion. The only problem is that it's a quarterback award. He's going to win Offensive Player of the Year. That's kind of locked in. Unless something catastrophic happens or somebody breaks onto the scene. But the fact that the MVP award is only a quarterback award is asinine. It's asinine. Jonathan Taylor is the MVP of the NFL right now. The Chicago Bears beat the Giants, and somehow the Bears, when the Chicago Bears are down by 2 scores in the fourth quarter, book it for a W. I need to start watching these games more intently and waiting for the exact moment that the fourth quarter starts. So it's an infinite money glitch right now for the Chicago Bears. You look at what's going on in the game, look at the time. If the fourth quarter has started, look at the score. If they're down by 2 scores, go to your sports book, whatever you're using. You can't use ESPN Bet, though, because they're gone. Look at your sports book, whatever it is. So say they're down 2 scores and it's plus 600. Take out $1,000, put it on that infinite money glitch. And then guess what? Do it again the next time. Don't even cash out those profits. Take that money, take that $1,000 that you just won on plus 600, and then the next time they're down 2 scores in the fourth quarter, take all that money and put it on and put it on whatever it is, plus 750, whatever. Because for some reason, the Chicago Bears, when they're down 2 scores in the fourth quarter, figure it out. They figure out a way to win. Somehow, some way, the Chicago Bears, they're just figuring it out. This game here, the Buffalo Bills, their Super Bowl windows, it's over. It's closed. How are you going to get destroyed, not beat, destroyed by the Dolphins? You scored 0 points in the first 3 quarters, and then you scored 13 in garbage time. Your Super Bowl window is shut. Slam shut, locked. It's over. The Buffalo Bills, what is this? Devon Achane, 22 carries, 174 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Waddle, 5 receptions, 84 yards, a touchdown. Now, Josh Allen threw for 300 yards. But if this team that can't stop the run right now, the Bills, met Jonathan Taylor might rush for 400 yards. The Bills' Super Bowl window is done. It's closed. They're not built right now to win in January. It's about run defense, and it's about a good running game. The Bills don't have that right now. The Bills do not have that. Their Super Bowl window is slam shut. Speaking of somebody, though, when one door closes, another door opens. The Baltimore Ravens are back. 27-19 versus the Vikings. Derrick Henry, 20 rushes for 75 yards. Lamar Jackson is back. The Ravens are winning. The Ravens are going to win the AFC North because the Pittsburgh Steelers are dog shit. I shouldn't say the Ravens window or Super Bowl window is open because I can't see that. This team is just like the Buffalo Bills right now. I can't see them winning a Super Bowl because their defense isn't very good. Now, hey, they beat up on 9. JJ McCarthy. That is the stupidest nickname I've ever heard in my life. But the Ravens right now, they're going to win the AFC North because the Steelers are squandering it. They're terrible. And 9, what are you doing, bro? You can't have this whole thing where you're mean mugging in the locker room and then you lose to a team that has one of the worst defenses in the NFL right now. The Cleveland Browns lose to the New York Jets. The New York Jets get another big W. Hey, big W's for the New York Jets after trading away Sauce Gardner and after trading away Quinnen Williams. And people are asking, was Sauce the problem? Was Sauce the problem with this New York Jets team? He wasn't, but this was a battle between bad and trash. So, big win by the New York Jets. Dylan Gabriel, I guess had a decent game, 167 yards, 2 touchdowns. Breece Hall ran wild, so that's good. Justin Fields, what was his official stat? Justin Fields had like what? He had he was 6 for 11 for 54 yards yesterday, and the Jets still won, which proves to you that football is a 3-phase game: offense, defense, special teams. You have to win all 3 phases. You don't have to win all 3 phases, but one of those phases can lose you a game. And special teams is what lost it for the Cleveland Browns yesterday. This is where I get upset. The New England Patriots 28 to the Buccaneers 23. I have endured throughout my life being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Tom Brady, and then Tom Brady just beating up on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then I was like, "Oh, Tom Brady's gone. Finally, the Steelers can catch up. Do something to get to the level of where the Patriots were. It's going to take the Patriots forever to find this level of success again." In the time that Ben Roethlisberger retired, and in the time that Tom Brady left, the Steelers have not found their new quarterback. and the Patriots have, and the Patriots are an absolute wagon, and the Super Bowl may run through Foxborough. The Super Bowl might be going back to New England because Drake May right now is the MVP of the league. Do I think he should be MVP? No, again, I think it should be Jonathan Taylor, but Drake May is the MVP of the league. Travion Henderson has been unlocked. Mike Vrabel finally realized and saw that he's actually a good running back, and that's why they used the pick on him. The defense is good for the New England Patriots. I thought it was over. I thought it was going to be years post Tom Brady. And when I say years, I mean like a decade for them to figure it out and get back in the Super Bowl window. No, it took like 3 years for them to get back to this level of dominance. It's just the Jacksonville Jaguars suck. Holy God. 26 points they gave up in the fourth quarter versus Davis Mills. Jacksonville sucks. They're terrible. The Lions beat up on the Commanders. Donald Trump was in attendance for that Commander game. I was one of the best football players of all time. If I was coaching the Commanders would score more points. I don't know. I made a fake satire quote about that yesterday. People were mad about me or mad at me about that. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay. The Pittsburgh Steelers beating the Colts is what was the worst thing that could have happened to this team, because it was right before the trade deadline, and the Steelers saw that and thought, oh yeah, we're fine. We're good. We just beat one of the best teams in all of the NFL. We don't need to make any moves. We don't need to do anything. Our defense balled out. Our offense wasn't really moving the ball, but for some reason, they still thought that they didn't have to do anything. Beating the Colts. Somehow the Steelers have beat the Patriots, which the Steelers beat the Patriots because Ramondre Stevenson couldn't hold on to the ball, which if the Steelers played the Patriots today, the Patriots would win by 30. And actually, if that team yesterday for the Steelers played the Colts would win by 70. But the Steelers beating the Colts last week was worst case scenario for this city, or for this team. City too, I should say. Because Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin saw that victory and decided we're good. We don't need to do anything. We don't need to make any moves. Why? Before that victory versus the Colts, absolute garbage versus the Bengals. The defense was absolute garbage. The defense was versus the Packers. Now, I'm not saying the Steelers had to go out and get anything else on the defensive side of the ball. Would it have helped? Sure. But like the Ravens went out and made moves. Guess what? The Ravens defense was bad. And what did they do? They went out and got guys to try to fix it. What are we? I understand you have the highest paid defense in the NFL, and I guess you don't want to throw more money into it. How are you content with this team? And then you look at the roster on the offensive side of the ball. How are you okay with Calvin Austin or Roman Wilson being your wide receiver too? This team does not have a contested catch guy. I don't get why the Pittsburgh Steelers thought that DK Metcalf was a contested catch guy. He wasn't a contested catch guy in Seattle. He's never been a contested catch guy. And yet yesterday, we're trying to throw 50-50 fade routes to him to contested catch it. There's a guy out there that is a contested catch guy that would be perfect for this team and help them win games. And you know what his name is? It's George Pickens. But instead, they think that, I was okay with the DK Metcalf move. I get it. He can't do it himself. He can't. The Seahawks had other weapons. Tyler Lockett would ball out. Jackson Smith and Jigba would ball out to take pressure off of him. The Steelers bring in DK Metcalf into cities like, oh my God, we have DK Metcalf and we have George Pickens. This is insane. Then they trade away George Pickens for literal peanuts, and George Pickens is having the season of a freaking lifetime for the Dallas Cowboys. And he's helping out CeeDee Lamb because guess what? George Pickens is good, and he's taking pressure off CeeDee Lamb. And CeeDee Lamb is doing the same thing for him. I don't care if he was fighting with you guys in the locker room. Maybe you should have listened to him. Because I think George was right. Whatever he was saying in the locker room that offended you and made you so upset, he was right. So the Steelers think, we're going to bring in 18 different tight ends. Pat Freiermuth, Darnell Washington, Jonnu Smith. For some reason, Connor Hayward is still on this freaking team. And whoever else is playing tight end for us right now. I'm surprised we don't have 1,000 of them on the fucking practice squad. They look at that and think, well, we'll just have Darnell Washington move out and play pretty much our wide receiver too. If DK Metcalf isn't open, we are spamming the ball to Darnell Washington. The guy is a tight end. Stop. And then they look and they go, Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson, we have them. They could be our wide receiver too. No! They aren't wide receiver twos. Roman Wilson has done nothing. He scores in garbage time. That's it. Other than that, he fumbles the ball. He almost cost us the game versus the Colts. Calvin Austin yesterday can't catch a pass. Now, the Steelers had no chance of winning that game, but he's trying to alligator arm, and I can't even talk right now. They're not wide receiver twos. Again, I'm not saying you had to go out and spend a first-round pick to get Chris Olave, Jalen Waddle, Garrett Wilson, anybody like that. But you could have made a better offer to go get a Jacoby Myers, to go get a Rashid Shaheed. Because the Steelers were making, there were reports that came out that the Steelers made the same exact offer for Rashid Shaheed that the Seahawks did. Now, I don't blame Rashid Shaheed for picking to go to the Seahawks. He's familiar with the system, and the Seahawks are a hell of a lot better. The Seahawks are a hell of a lot better. And then you get the Jacoby Myers thing, where they said that he picked to go to the Jags over the Steelers. Then you offer something that you don't put it in the hands of either Rashid Shaheed or Jacoby Myers. You don't give them the option. You make an offer better that the front office of either the Saints or the Jags go, oh yeah, this is a better offer. We're taking it. We don't care where you want to go, Rashid Shaheed or Jacoby Myers. We're getting the best deal possible. But instead, the Steelers were like, well, what did they offer? Okay, we'll offer the same exact thing. Asinine. How are you okay with this with the makeup of this team on the offensive side of the ball? And everybody from training camp was saying, wow, this team could be good if we get another wide receiver. Now, the way that Aaron Rodgers played yesterday, it may be the worst game I've ever seen Aaron Rodgers play in his entire life. He was sailing the ball high. He couldn't throw the ball. DK Metcalf should have had a touchdown. It was bad. If he wasn't overthrowing guys, he was underthrowing guys. he had Calvin Austin on like a little corner route that he underthrew it. Now, that was a tough ball on the sidelines. He had DK Metcalf wide open for a touchdown. I believe it was in the first quarter. That was a bad throw on him. He was it was rough. I think that he was hanging out with Snoop Dogg before the game and got contact, but this falls on Omar Khan, Mike Tomlin, and the front office. It's time. The Pittsburgh Penguins made the difficult decision with Mike Sullivan. The Penguins didn't make the playoffs for the past 2-3 years, and they had a back-to-back Stanley Cup winning coach. The Penguins saw the message is getting stale. It's not working. And they parted ways with Mike Sullivan. It was a tough decision at the time. They did it. And seemingly right now, it's working. Because their new coach, there's a new voice. And yes, the Penguins didn't win anything this weekend. But they're playing better than what they did last year and the last couple years. The Steelers need to make the difficult decision. And I don't know what they're afraid of. The ownership is losing it. The front office, you need a new voice. I don't care that Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. I don't care that somebody will scoop him up if we get rid of him. It doesn't matter because it's not working. The only thing you care about, ownership, front office, is a non-losing season. So you're okay going 9-8, losing in embarrassing fashion on primetime, being a laughingstock to the entire world, and losing in the first round of the playoffs, if this team even makes the playoffs. Because the Ravens are going to surpass the Steelers. Steelers are losing this week to the Bengals. The Ravens are going to surpass the Steelers, take the division, and the Chiefs are going to overtake the Steelers. This team honestly may not make the playoffs. And you're okay with that. So if the Steelers go 9-8 and they don't make the playoffs, you'll be okay with that? Are you waiting for a subpar 500 season? Let's look at the rest of the Steelers' schedule this year. Bengals, loss. At Chicago, loss. Chicago is a potent offense. At the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are terrible right now. Loss. At the Baltimore Ravens. Loss. We may get absolutely mollywopped by the Dolphins if their running game is like this. Loss. Definitely a loss versus the Lions, for sure. We'll beat the Browns and we'll lose to the Ravens. So we will be, let's see, 1 win, maybe 2. We'll say 6-11, 7-10. That is what the Steelers need. The Steelers don't need 9-8 in a first round playoff loss. The Steelers honestly need 5-12. The Steelers honestly need 2-15. They need a season to reset and get better players in the draft, hit on these players in the draft, because the Kenny Pickett thing completely derailed a lot. I will say that. The Najee Harris thing completely derailed a lot. I don't know. Again, you shouldn't be taking a running back in the first round. That is my, like, if I was a GM, I would never, ever, 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 ever take a running back in the first round. I wouldn't. It doesn't make sense to me because you find other guys in the draft. Hoping that this Derek Harmon thing works out. I mean, it's still too early to tell, but it's just not working right now. Yeah. Mike Tomlin needs to go. So yeah, if you guys made it this far, thank you so much. It's dark times in Pittsburgh. So yeah, um, thank you guys who made it this far. Thank you for listening to this edition of the Hail Mary. Please hit that like and subscribe button and that bell notification. Follow us on all of our short form platforms: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube Shorts. I have a very long blog coming out that talks even more about Pittsburgh sports if you care about it, and the Steelers, and how I'm disgusted with them, and the Pirates, and how, the Penguins are playing well, but the big three is going to be gone. And it's dark times right now if you are a Steeler fan. So I may just clip up that entire thing and make it its own little thing. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening to this edition of the Hail Mary. Like I said, big shout out again to Underdog and Sleeper. Use the code HMM and get yourself a free 0.5 pick and a deposit match as well with the code HMM on Underdog and Sleeper. Peace out, everybody. I will see you all on either Wednesday or Thursday for our tier list rankings for the NFL. Peace out, guys. Have a beautiful one.